So this week we have a special class. We're going from idea to empire because that idea in your head can and will make you $1,000,000. Can and will make you $1,000,000. You just have to have the knowledge and the tools to see it through. And that's what this class is for. So this class is to structure your business to maximize business funding. That is the goal of this class, to show you how to structure your business to maximize on business funding. Let's go. What is credit and why does it matter? What is credit and why does it matter? So we got this definition from the CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, who looks out for our financial well-being in a sense. The definition of credit: the ability to borrow money or access goods, services with the promise to repay in the future. With the promise to repay in the future. I will borrow from my present self today in hopes that my future self will repay it in the future. Why is this important? Your credit worthiness affects your loan approvals, your interest rates, housing, employment opportunities, and access to capital for businesses. And for the purpose of this class, access to capital for businesses is the number one key. First thing first, we need to understand our FICO. We need to understand our FICO and what it is. Because everybody, I'm going to say everybody, a lot of people look at Credit Karma and some of these other third-party apps, Identity IQ, etc., and they think that the score that's showing on these apps is the score that the banks are pulling. They think the score that is showing on these apps is the score that the bank is pulling. So don't be that person on your Credit Karma. You look like you have a 750, but you actually go in there and you get your credit pull and you actually have a 580. As you can see from the diagram, that the scoring model is completely different. Just one of the major factors, payment history. It counts as 41% under your Vantage score and 35% under your FICO score. That 6% can sway your credit score 20, 30 points one way or the other. Just that 6%. We're looking from 300 to 850. 300 to 850. So you have an overall of 550 points, 550 possible points. And if we do the math, 6% of 500 possible points. Yeah, it can sway your credit one way or the other quite a few points. So I'll make sure that you are looking at the right scoring model. Make sure you're looking at the right scoring model. Experian is a good place to get your credit report. MindYourCreditReport.com. I say Experian is a good place. It gives you the FICO, I think, 8 scoring model at this time. It's giving you the FICO 8 scoring model. So also know that there are different scoring models. FICO 9, FICO whatever. So even though you may have a 700 FICO 8, you may have a 692 FICO 9 or whatever. It just depends on the bank that you're going to and what they're pulling from. Before we can go into how you can get approved for business funding, there's a bunch of information we need to know beforehand. We got to get it all the way up to speed. For some of y'all, this is repetitive information, but for others, this is some information that you need to know, that if you don't take these basic steps, you don't start crawling before you try to run, you're going to fall on your face. So first thing I want to point out, the components of a credit report. You must know like the back of your hand. I mean, most people probably don't know the back of their hand, but you must know like the back of your hand what's on your credit report at all times. There's no such thing as you have there's no such thing as you can go 30 days without looking at your credit report. I haven't seen it yet. A lot of people do it, but within 30 days, so many negative things can happen. So many negative things. And if you're only checking your credit a few times a year, there's a great likelihood that you're going to end up having inaccurate information on your credit report. According to Experian data, 5 out of 6 credit reports? It's like 5 out of every 6 credit reports has errors or something like that. And the error could be something as small as your name is being misspelled, or something as big as you have a collection that was somebody else's that came from fraud or identity theft. So the components of your credit report that you must know: the personal information. We're going to start with personal information. That is your name, your address, date of birth, all of this information that is being reported on you that they are using to verify everything that's on your credit. Credit accounts. That's any loans, any credit cards, mortgages, cards, etc. Everybody knows credit accounts. We use them all day, every day. Credit utilization. Most people don't realize how big of a factor credit utilization is. Most people don't realize how big of a factor credit utilization is. I have consultations all the time People come, hey man, I'm trying to get some guidance on my credit. I don't know what's going on. This one of the main reasons my consultations are free, because a lot of times people just don't know. And I'm not going to charge you $50 or $100 to talk to you, and come to find out the only thing wrong with your credit is you got maxed out credit cards. Like I had a girl come to me probably like 2 weeks ago. She's like, I'm trying to get my credit perfect so I can get business funded and et cetera, et cetera. We look at her credit report. She crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's. Like her credit report was almost perfect. Only thing that was wrong, she had 3 credit cards that was maxed out or close to being maxed out. All of the credit cards were above $20,000. So she had 20+ thousand dollar credit cards on her personal credit that were maxed out. So we put together a plan to move that out of the personal into the business, et cetera. Her credit jumped 100+ points. Because yes, a maxed out credit card can drop your score 100+ points. Having maxed out credit cards on your credit report can drop your score 100+ points. So yeah, you could be at a 750 if your utilization was less than 10%. But since it's not, it's being counted against you. Okay. Account history, the credit reporting agencies, they go off of how you treat these accounts. There's no such thing as free lunch. There's no such thing as free lunch. Everything is for a reason. You may not know the reason, you may not understand the reason. But every time they report a 30-day late, a 60-day late, a 90-day late, a 120-day late, every time they report that a payment was made less than the amount that was due, etc. All of these goes into that account history and your overall credit worthiness. Make sure you're paying attention to those different indicators that's in your credit report. All right. Other information. That's honestly that other information, like that, I don't know. Sometimes you'll see some weird accounts on your credit report. I don't even know how to explain. Just random loans or whatever the situation is. Random loans, random collection accounts. Everybody knows what collection is. We ain't gotta go that deep into that. You know what collection is. Public records, bankruptcies, tax liens, all of these type of things. Although I will say this, according to the Supreme Court, some of them public records aren't supposed to be on your credit report. A lot of them ain't supposed to be on your credit report. All right, and credit inquiries, they can be hard or soft. Hard inquiry usually means that you actually went in and put in an application with somebody. Soft inquiry just means that you either had an account with somebody or they're trying to attempt to collect a debt and they're just kind of reviewing your overall credit worthiness to see whether or not you're a likely candidate to further collection activities. There are 3 major credit reporting agencies. What most people don't realize is you have 3 different credit reports. These are 3 completely different businesses. These are not the same. You don't have one credit report. You should ideally, because you're only one person. In actuality, you have about 300+ consumer reports. These are just 3 of your main ones. Yes, 3 different consumer reports. These are not just one report going across all 3. Those 3 different consumer reports. That's why your TransUnion can be a 700 and your Equifax can be a 500. And your Experian can be a 650. All of them can be reporting completely different things. Every creditor, every bank do not report to every credit reporting agency. Every debt collector do not report to every credit reporting agency. So you have 3 different credit reports. And you need to treat them as such. Just because you send something off to TransUnion don't mean Equifax and Experian gonna get short answer yes, GG. Understanding errors on credit reports. So now we understand what's on your credit report. Let's understand like the errors that may be reported. Inaccurate personal information. Check your personal information when you pull your credit report. Check your personal information, your name, address, social, because all of that information is being tied to something on your credit report. And just a little FYI, credit reporting agencies do not conduct reasonable reinvestigations. Why does that matter? It matters a lot when you understand that they only data match. What is data matching? They take the information that they have reported on your credit report and they match it up with the information that's reporting on that account. And if that information matches, you get a verified response. So that's why first thing first, before you conduct any dispute, before you start any dispute process, personal information gotta go. Personal information gotta go. Clean up all them incorrect names, because 9 times out of 10, you got an inaccurate name on your credit report. It's from a collection. Addresses may be from old charged off credit cards, etc. You can always call TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian and dispute this information over the phone, or you can go online and dispute this information online. Those are only 2 ways those are the primary ways I would say dispute personal information. If those 2 don't work, then go with the FTC. But the 2 primary ways, call over the phone and do it online. because you'll get the result in less than 72 hours. It's a speed game. We want to get to it as quick as possible, and that's just the quickest way. Clean up your personal information before you start a dispute, because if they can't verify this information, they have to remove it. So, identity theft or fraud. It will be fraudulent account, unauthorized inquiries, or other signs of identity theft that are present on your credit report. That's why you need to monitor your credit report all the time. You need to actually have some type of credit monitoring. I'm not going to say that you have to pay for it, but ideally have some type of credit monitoring, because it doesn't take much for somebody to fill out an application in your name. Because believe it or not, they don't need that much information. Because most creditors just want a living person to actually fill out the application. Most of your information can be found with a couple Google searches. It ain't that hard. I promise you that. Enough of your information to steal your identity can be found with a couple Google searches. It's as simple as that. So always monitor for identity theft or fraud. Somebody might have a whole house in your name. Inaccurate account status. That can be payment history, could be off. It could be showing that a debt is not paid off when you did pay it off. Not reflecting payment data. Outdated or erroneous negative information. Anything over 7 years is supposed to be removed. They're going to say 10 years for public records, but anything over 7 years that's negative, like late payments, charge-offs, collections, after 7 years, they're supposed to come out. It's supposed to. If you don't do nothing about it, guess what happens? It's going to be there forever. It's going to be there forever. Duplicate accounts. This is a good one. Duplicate accounts. If your creditor, because this is something that most people don't know, if your creditor has sold your account, not just assigned it, but sold it, actually sold it, gave up all rights to collect. So you know what? Fuck this guy, or forget this guy. I'm just going to sell it to a debt collector. Once they give up their rights to collect and they sell that actual contract, you're no longer under a contract under the original creditor. What does that mean? Why is that important? Simple. If you're no longer in a contract under the original creditor shouldn't be also furnishing this information. Capital One is furnishing the same information that Portfolio Recovery is reporting. That is a duplicate. If they just sold this to Portfolio, should be the only one reporting. Capital One no longer should be reported. That trade line should be removed. But this happens a lot. These creditors sell these accounts to the debt collectors, or they sell it to whatever, and they never remove the trade line. That is a duplicate. Unauthorized inquiries. If you didn't get approved, it was unauthorized. I don't know how else to explain that. If you didn't get approved, it was unauthorized. It's up to you to do what you have to do with that. Mixed or merged credit files. Make sure that the information that's on your credit profile is your information, because it very well could be somebody else's information. I have a cousin and an auntie right now that information is merged on the credit file. If your names are spelled similar to somebody and your personal information is similar, they're going to a lot of times merge those credit files. So make sure that information is not on there. Make sure the information that's on there is your information. Inaccurate public records. I'm going to tell you like this. I don't know how y'all feel about the public records, but me, just understanding the word inaccurate. If something can't be verified, we can't say it's accurate. It's just as simple as that. So why does that matter? When we talk about bankruptcies, judgments, and all these other public records, the court that's actually furnishing this information doesn't actually verify this information. So if I'm reporting secondhand information that I never actually got verified, how can I certify that this information is true and accurate as required by the Fair Credit Report Act? Can't. So all public information is going to be inaccurate just to me, because there's no way for them to verify that information. Just because a person look and say, oh, this information looks like it matches your information, that person don't know. You may have somebody who have a similar name, similar information, who filed bankruptcy, but now that bankruptcy on your credit report, but now they lie because it look like your name is your bankruptcy. Because the bankruptcy court is never going to verify this information, so they're all going off of hearsay. Is not aligned with the Fair Credit Reporting Act, not when they're supposed to assure maximum possible accuracy. But you find with Equifax, so it's always going to be my answer, because there's two. So the question I got was, so they have a repo and the car was sold. I guess whatever it was sold for cleared out the balance, so the balance was $0. It was disputed, and once it was disputed, it came off of TransUnion and Experian, but it continued to stay on Equifax. This is something I need y'all to know. Under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, no matter what type of dispute you send, no matter if you send this shit on a napkin, no matter if you send it on a kite, no matter if you send it with a message in the bottom, no matter what you attach to your dispute, no matter how you dispute, no matter what you dispute, There's only three ways that something can be removed from your credit report. It's either inaccurate, incomplete, or unverifiable. So if they remove something from your credit report, by law, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, it had to fall into one of the three categories. So for you, that should kind of help you out in your dispute process if you got it removed from 1 out of 2 or 1 out of the 3, because now you can use that deletion to lean on the other ones and say, hey, what about your reinvestigation procedures that are so different from these other companies that remove this information for being either inaccurate, incomplete, or unverifiable? Why is your reinvestigation procedure so different that you're able to verify this information? If TransUnion and Equifax remove it, or even just one remove it, that shows that information was either inaccurate, incomplete, or unverifiable. So if you send out a dispute to all three, and TransUnion came back and said it was one of those three, what is all the arguing with the other two for? It ain't a whole lot of arguing with the other two. Man, ain't no way that y'all follow the maximum possible accuracy if 1 out of the 3 of y'all came back and said that this information was either inaccurate, incomplete, or unverifiable. And me, knowing the little bit about the law that I know, I'm going to always say, well, the only reason this was removed is because it was one of these three. So please tell me how you assured the maximum possible accuracy. Please show me how you verified this information. So I need to know your method of verification and what steps you actually took to verify this information. And if you file in court, they're going to say, hey, we ain't doing none of that without a Rule 26F conference, which is interesting to me, because that should just be readily available information. Like, hey, this is our dispute procedures. They actually want you to get a court order. That should tell you everything you need to know. Disputing errors on your credit report. Like I said, there's only 3 ways. So under Fair Credit Reporting Act, you have the right to dispute inaccurate, incomplete, or unverifiable information. You can dispute with any consumer reporting agency that has a profile on you. Like I said, you have over 300 consumer reports. TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian just got your 3 main ones. But trust and believe, everybody's out there reporting on you. Some aspect of your life. LexisNexis. If you wonder why your insurance is so high, LexisNexis keeping an insurance profile on. Simple. You got that ticket 3 years ago. You got in that accident a little while ago. Your insurance lapsed. All these things are being reported to your LexisNexis consumer report. That's a whole nother consumer report. So you have over 300 consumer reports, all reporting different things. Anything in your life that is going wrong, guarantee somebody's reporting on it. Somebody's reporting on how many times you text, how many times you make a phone call, how many times you go on social media. Information is more valuable than gold. And since we're volatile people, like we kind of do whatever we want to do, we're not a set type. Our information is even more valuable because you can get 3 people and all 3 of these people come from different walks of life. So now you might have information and data from just 3 different walks of life. And that is what they get paid for. They gather all your data and they sell it to the other consumer reporting agencies. If you're sending disputes out, ideally, like I said, you're going to do it. If you're going to clean up your personal information, do that over the phone. Just call TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Say, hey, man, this name is not spelled right. Remove it. Hey, this address, I do not live there. I'm not associated with it. Remove it. Hey, this job, I never worked there. Remove it. The more extra personal information on your credit report, the harder it's going to be to get things removed. I just said they don't conduct reasonable reinvestigations as they are required by the law. So you just have to understand what they do when they say that these things are quote unquote verified. And you must understand that 90% of their job is the data match. Hey man, that name, that address, that phone number is on your credit report. So of course that account is yours. Because this information that's attached to this account is attached to your credit report, that information to us is now verified. We don't even have to reach out to the creditor. And a lot of times they don't, which is illegal in itself. But they'll let you know. Like sometimes we don't have to reach out to the creditor to verify this information. That's 100% illegal. The credit reporting agencies ain't nobody. Literally ain't nobody. They assume that role. They're under no government, there are no political subdivision, none of that. They just woke up one day and said, you know what, we're going to start an LLC and we're going to start gathering information and start selling and making billions of dollars off of it. Fun times.